All
I
right,
just
all right. So,
sorry.
what'd you say?
I just look pale as fuck.
Yeah, well, it's winter time. It's winter time. All
Yeah.
right, so what's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. It's about 1 a.m. on November 6th, 2024, and I'm here with my beautiful wife. Say hi.
Hi everyone, I'm Akti. It's been a long time since we've done these things, so I'm kind of nervous.
Don't be nervous. We're just gonna talk. We're doing it old school. We're doing it old school. I had plans for us to like pull up the map and like pull up like sit on the computer and like watch the videos for like hours and hours and stuff like that. But I don't feel like it's like that necessary because there's like other people doing political commentary much better than me and who are dedicated to that for hours on end. And I just do this like as a side thing. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would much rather just talk about this idea that's been in my mind and just talk about the implications and ramifications of like having this election. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, yeah, because no matter who wins, it's going to be a historic election. Like I was telling my students this today before I turned on the live. I was like, my students asked me, did you vote? I'm like, yeah, I voted. Are you excited? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm terrified. And I'm like, and they said, it's going to be a big deal. And I say, yeah, we could have our first woman president, our first Black woman president, our first Indian American president, and also like the first president I think that who's both of their parents were immigrants, so like the second generation immigrant president from both sides. That's a big deal. Then on the other hand, we have our first rapist president, our first convicted felon president, the oldest president ever elected. Trump will be the oldest person ever elected if he does win. You get what I'm saying? The first person convicted of uh, uh, like money laundering and stuff like that in New York to be
Yeah.
president. Like so many things that could be great for Trump and his legacy, right? So uh, it's a
Today
historic
when
event.
today when I was watching the news in the morning, they were saying like, oh, if Trump gets elected, then he can like pardon all of his stuff that he did, right? And
Hmm.
that might be forgiven and things like that. So I think there's like a lot of counting on for him, you
Yeah.
know, that he can get a lot out of. Obviously, like a lot comes with being a president, but I feel like his motives are more personal, if that makes sense. Like he's just doing it not to get in jail or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's he's fighting for his life. He's literally running for his life, and also the lives of the people around him. Because so many of the people that surrounded him during that first administration ended up going to jail for all sorts of stuff, and a lot of criminals seem to like congregate around Trump. So I think a lot of people are supporting him to sort of like hedge their bets that they can get out of jail and or not be prosecuted for crimes. Our first commenter, Paul Rogers, jumped in. He says, it's not about color or religion. It's about who is best for the U.S. And I agree. I wholeheartedly agree, which is why I voted for Cornell West. And I wrote in Acti. I wrote in Act Dennis Shaheen Hill to be like vice president. I wrote that in as well. So
You did?
yes, yes, I did. Yes, I
No, we
did.
did.
I'm pretty sure that that lady threw away my ballot. I'm pretty sure she threw it away.
Why would you do that? I'm not even kidding.
No, I didn't. I didn't write you in, but I did vote for Cornell West. We voted third party on this side. It's not a waste to vote third party. I want everybody to know that. But what I wanted to talk about for this live stream is like, to me, it doesn't feel like we're like there's like an excitement around the idea that there could be a female president. And this is like the second time that this has happened in a major way in my lifetime. And it doesn't feel like the Obama run. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm.
was coming of age. I turned 18 right before, a few months before Obama got elected. And I'll never forget my father was like, hey, you need to vote. This is a historic election. And me back then, I was on my like radical black power shit. I was like, man, the system is corrupt, man. Like Barack Obama, man, he's just as bad as the white folks. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah.
But did you vote back then as well?
Pardon?
Did you still voted back then?
No, no, I did not. No, I
Oh,
did not. I didn't. I didn't vote for Obama ever. I never voted for Obama, and I don't regret it. I don't regret not voting for Obama because number one, we live in Louisiana, and guess the way Louisiana always goes. Louisiana generally always goes red. So voting Democrat in Louisiana is basically throwing away your vote because we have a system in America that doesn't count everybody's vote. It's only the people that agree with you the most in your state, which I think is kind of messed up. But yeah, it doesn't seem like there's like a lot of excitement around Kamala the same way there is around Obama. What do you think?
I mean, I think there is a little bit. I don't really remember the Obama excitement that much. I just remember what happened after he got elected. He did like sort of have that wave of empowerment, after that. But honestly, I was too young and I was not interested in American politics like at the
Right.
time. So I don't remember a lot about that part. But for Kamala, I think Ah, I don't know. Like, I think still a lot of like, especially black women, gather around her and support her, and there is that wave around her as well. But maybe, yeah, not as much as Obama.
Yeah. I think because Obama not only was the first black person to seriously like have the chance to do it, like we were all in shock. Like he might do it and he might live. You get what I'm saying? That's what was crazy. We were like, he might he might actually be able to do this job and not get shot. We were like, what? You get what I'm saying? So I think it doesn't feel the same with Kamala. It doesn't feel like that sort of like breaking a barrier sort of thing. And even though I feel like it should, because America has a wild history of sexism. America has a wild history of oppressing women, like we're doing right now with like controlling women's bodies. There are women that are dying in Texas, deep red Texas, because they can't get abortions. I don't know if you saw this on the news, but it's happened like 3 or 4 times in the past week. Girls who are having miscarriages, they're bleeding out on the table, and the doctor can't do anything for them, even though only a year or two ago they could have had the abortions and saved their lives and stuff like that. So America has like a wild history of oppressing women, and to see
Yeah.
a woman in the most powerful position, it doesn't feel like we're actually gonna make progress. Does that make sense? It feels weird.
Yeah, I think like for the most part, I think the Israel and Palestine issue and the genocide going on in Palestine is like affecting that, because I would assume most people who are Democrats in America also support Palestine, or most people who would support everything else that Kamala wants to do would also support Palestine, and that is like a conflict interest, conflict of interest with Kamala's part. So maybe because of that, there isn't that much joy around her election, I would assume, and also, yeah, like that maybe that's why also a lot of more people will vote for third parties this election.
That is a very big point. Like if October 7th never happened, I do think we would see more energy, right? But
Yeah,
it's hard to be energized about a woman when the woman is like spreading lies, like Hamas was raping women rampantly. They were committing these horrible atrocities, which October 7th was. But the way they try to compare October 7th to like what Israel has done for a year, 365 plus days, of nonstop bombing of men, women, and children, and then also invading in a whole other country and killing people in the West Bank, it doesn't feel like you can rally around that person. You know what I mean?
definitely. And like she's been saying, "Oh, we want ceasefire and things like that," but they are still sending weapons to Israel. And also because she's vice president right now, and she's been vice president for several years. So we've seen like her and Biden not really take any solid action against it. Right?
Hmm.
So I think people maybe don't trust what she's promising in terms of like the Palestinian genocide.
Yeah, I mean, she's only promised to continue to support Israel, and that's it. Like that's it. That's it. There's no other promise. Like no promise of a ceasefire, no promise of not sending weapons to Israel. That's violating international law, which is the U.S. law. The U.S. law says you shall not give weapons to people that are violating international laws or possibly committing genocide. And the U.S. says, well, fuck that law. That's white supremacy in play. But since we're talking about Israel and Palestine, we have a Jordanian person in here, and he says he wants to vote for Trump. And I think this goes to show, what do I say all the time, Acti? I don't say this all the time, but I've said it enough that you'll probably remember. Nobody hates Arabs more than other Arabs. Nobody cheers on the death of Arabs more than the other Arabs. The fact that you can have a Jordanian in here saying that they would vote for Trump, a man who said, like, yeah, let Israel finish the job, the man who moved the embassy of America from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, basically telling the Israelis that basically you own Jerusalem when that city is like split between Palestinian control and Israeli control. Like the guy who has like a son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who says he wants to turn beachfront property into Gaza, like just hotels and casinos for rich Israelis. And that's
Mhm.
who you get behind. Nobody hates Arabs more than other Arabs because, like, it's a, and I'm pretty sure maybe possibly that Mekdem might be a white man or a Russian troll, or even worse, an Arab who thinks he's a white man. But that's absolutely a shame that you could actually say that. You get what I'm saying? Like to your own people, shame.
That yeah, that's true. I mean, I tune into like Al Jazeera in the mornings because they cover the war on in Gaza a lot, and like this morning as well, they were interviewing Lebanese people about like the U.S. elections,
Hmm.
and a lot of them were saying, and it's just like random people on the street, right? A lot of them were saying Trump says that he's gonna fix everything, so Trump should win, and I'm thinking like, how can you trust Trump, with that? But at the same time, they're seeing like the current government is fueling that war. So it's
Hmm.
like, I can understand from like an outsider point of view. They just like, the current government is not doing anything, but still sending weapons to
Hmm.
Israel. So maybe like Trump should, get in power because at least he's saying that he's going to stop the war.
Right, but we know that's BS. Like
Yeah.
it's absolutely
We
BS. By stopping the war, what he means is like he's gonna let Israel do it with no restraints, which is even harder to fathom because it feels like the Biden administration is letting it happen without restraints. It's not
yeah.
like they're, you know, reining in Bibi Netanyahu. It's like so I couldn't imagine what it would be like under Trump. But that seems to be just general American foreign policy, right? I could imagine in an alternate world where October 7th happened and Trump was in power or another Republican was in power, that the Democrats might possibly be calling it a genocide. They might possibly be saying, "Oh, we really do need to stop sending weapons there and make it a partisan issue," right? Because whenever the other side does it, now it's wrong. You get what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
but the thing about Israel, it's like it seems like it's the one issue that Democrats and Republicans both seem to agree on. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's about economics and a little bit like of power dynamics and future, you know, agenda.
Hmm.
So that's why like they can all agree on that. But
Yeah.
like you think like if Trump was in power or if he gets in power, hopefully not. Like do you think he would still be like selling weapons to Israel but not doing anything about the war, or he would just like not give Israel anything and let whatever happens happen?
No, Trump is a cuck. He's a cuck. He's a total cuck. Like he says all this stuff like we're gonna keep money in America. We're not gonna do raw business deals or anything like that. And what does he do? He ends up doing the deals anyway. Like he goes into the meeting with Vladimir Putin and saying like, I'm gonna tell Putin what's the real deal, and walks out of the room with his head down. And then Putin gives him like a strong shake. He says, I'm going to go to North Korea and make the North Koreans give up their nuclear weapons. He goes there and takes a picture with Kim Jong Un and says, "Oh, I guess we'll do something later. I don't know." Like you get what I'm saying? Like he doesn't actually have the bravado, the bluster, the nuts. He doesn't have real masculine energy to get something done. He just knows how to present masculine on TV. You get what I'm saying? So when Bibi Netanyahu would come to the White House and say, Trump, give us more money, give us more weapons, give us all of that, he's going to cave because Bibi is actually, as much as I dislike him, he's actually a man who believes in what he's saying and has some sort of greater purpose, which I totally disagree with. Trump doesn't. Trump only cares about himself and staying in power. So if Bibi comes and says, "You support me, I'll guarantee you another 4 years," he's going to say, "Okay, let's do it." You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely believe that. And I think like every promise that Trump is making is BS and it's possibly just a lie to, get the votes of people who support Palestine and derail them from the Democrats
Right, right.
who like voting for him. But I was just curious, like, if he would just say, fuck it and not do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But back to the main topic, right? Talking about Kamala, because I truly believe she's going to win this. I truly believe she's going to win this. And here's my electoral map, guys. I just want to briefly go over this. So, this is how it's probably going to play out right now. So, some people are even saying New Mexico might go for Trump, which I find strange, but that might happen. But I really think she's going to win Georgia. I really think Kamala is going to win Georgia. And I
Mm.
think there's a good chance she'll win Pennsylvania. I think she'll win Pennsylvania. When it comes to Nevada, I'm going to lean that towards Trump. I'm going to lean that towards Trump because Biden barely won this last time. And so right now she's at 258, and then Trump is at 239. Okay? So I really think it's going to come down to North Carolina. Let's say North Carolina leans red, Trump at 254. I think she'll get Michigan, despite everything that they're saying about the Arab vote, because Michigan has the most amount of Arabs in America. I think she still might win Michigan because the white folks in Michigan don't care about all that Israel Palestine stuff. And I think also she might maybe win Wisconsin. So that puts her at 284. So I honestly think it might be a blowout, honestly. I honestly think it might be a blowout. And that's with Trump winning Nevada, New Mexico, North Carolina, and yeah, that's it.
What if,
That's my prediction.
what happens if Michigan goes red?
All right, let's see if Michigan goes red. I like how you're getting into the sport now, actor. You're like, oh wait, what would happen if this happened?
Like a gambling game.
If it goes red, then gets Trump wins. He wins barely at 270, 268 to
Oh,
270. So it really is down to Michigan. But I really think Michigan will pull through.
you think so with like a lot of Arab, residents?
I think so because I think number one, a lot of those Arabs who are saying like we're not going to vote or we're going to vote for Trump, they're like Mechdom. They can't vote at all. They're over here on visas. They're over here as students. They're over here illegally, whatever, right? Like refugees. They can't vote anyway, or they won't vote. A lot of people, a lot of the times in our elections, actually, only about 47% of Americans that can vote in the presidential election do vote. So it's never really a true mandate. It's not a true representation of all the people.
But what if all the racist white folks in Michigan say we want to kick all the Arabs out, so they go for Trump?
Uh, maybe. Who knows? Maybe the racist white folks will do that. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's very unlikely. It's very unlikely she'll win Michigan. I find this very hard to believe. I find that very hard to believe. I'm gonna switch it back.
Well, hopefully. I mean,
Let's
if
say
yeah.
let's say Trump wins Wisconsin. He might win Wisconsin. I can see that happening because there's a lot of right wing nuts in Wisconsin, right?
Okay. He
But
still does.
even still, she just needs Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan.
I think she can take those. I mean, I'm not that much of an expert in like states, but I feel like, those states could go blue.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. But back to the main issue. Like at, I've been talking to a lot of people out in Hungary, and of course, Hungarians are more exposed to Trump's presence in the media. So I feel like because people see Trump more, and Trump is more easily graspable in the mind, like
Mm.
comprehensible as a character, as a representation of America, because he is the true American. Fat, stupid. He loves Diet Coke, McDonald's, KFC. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
boisterous. He represents us very well, right? So I think a lot of people just say, "Oh yeah, he'll win because that's what America is," right? And when I talk to the Hungarians out here, a lot of the women, I don't get the impression that they feel any sort of excitement for the idea of having a woman president. And there's never been a woman president here in Hungary as well.
Yeah.
And you're from Turkey, where there definitely has not been a woman president, and it doesn't seem likely either. Now, I'm not saying like America is like the center of the world, but it is that country that a lot of people, want to immigrate to, make money in, have closer cultural ties. Like the reason we have this apartment, the reason we have Wi-Fi and lights is just because I speak the American. You get what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah.
So there's a true, desire for what we have, and also an admiration of our culture and our society to some degree. And I'm not saying I love that, but that's just what it is. And it doesn't feel like the idea like we're going to break a big barrier in the fight that somewhat is tied to feminism. And you could argue whether women in power is a part of the feminist struggle or not, but it doesn't feel like women are seeing this as something like grand, like something, big movement. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just like hard for me to pin down the general idea when a lot of the women around me think alike me. Like, I would say most people would support Kamala in my friend group and things like that. But also at the same time, like you said, Trump has more presence around the world because he's already been president once and he, fucked that up.
Mhm.
And he got famous off of that, basically.
But he was famous beforehand. Like he was a
Yeah.
celebrity for longer than we've been alive. So
Yeah, but I'm
people
talking
knows
like
him.
worldwide.
He was.
Uh,
I think he was famous worldwide because his hotels are everywhere. He has a hotel in Dubai, hotels in Russia and stuff. So he was well
true.
known.
Like in Istanbul, we have a Trump Tower mall, right? But I didn't know that Trump was Trump before, when I was living there after he got elected.
Hmm.
But either way, like I think in countries like where they didn't have a woman president before, or where that's like somewhat of a, still a conservative thing, like Turkey, and also I would say Hungary, even though it's in Europe, it's still like a bit more Eastern Europe, and it is very like somewhat of a conservative country, I would say, and patriarchal, like most of the world. So I think in those countries, if you ask like, oh, would you like vote for Trump or like this woman that maybe you never even heard about? I'm sure like if you're watching the news and stuff, yes, like they've heard of her. Yes, obviously, but I don't know um like my mom probably knows Kamala's name, but she doesn't know like what she stands for. She doesn't know if, Kamala is married to a Jewish guy, that she's supporting Palestine and things like that. Maybe like she doesn't know that. So they don't know like details about her as they do of Trump.
Hmm.
So, um, people in those countries might go for Trump, or at least because they know Trump better, they might say, "Oh, like, yeah, maybe we would choose Trump because of that." I don't know if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, it does make sense because celebrity is something that they try to say Americans worship celebrity, but the whole world worships celebrity. Everybody finds famous people fascinating and they want to emulate them and be like them and even continue to support them being famous, whether we love them or hate them. And the thing about Trump is like, you know, remember that film we watched about Hitler, Guess Who's Back? And at
Yeah,
the end of the movie, Hitler was like driving in the back seat of a drop top car and he's waving at the people, and the people do the Nazi salute when they see Hitler. And it's like brown Turkish people, regular young German kids, black people, white people. Everybody's just doing the Nazi salute just because they think it's funny, right? Because they don't associate that with the real thing, with what it is, what it represents. And that's sort of like what Trump is, right? Like they might have some idea, yeah, that's the racist guy, that's the evil guy, that's the guy who hates people that are not whites, not traditional Americans. But hey, that's the guy I know. Ha, yeah, make America great again. Nazi salute. You get what I'm saying? Like they
yeah,
just it's a meme. It's a meme. It's funny. You get what I'm saying?
yeah. I
Yeah.
wanna read this comment from Trickster. And he, I guess, or she said, "I'm from UK. Why on earth would anyone want to vote for Harris? She's not exactly the sharpest knife in the rack." I don't understand why people think she's not smart.
It's a racist trope. If you notice that in all of Trump's rallies, he's been calling her low IQ. And amongst the white supremacists, and in fact, a wide swath of white Americans and white people in general, they naturally believe black people are not smart. So
Mm,
even though this woman was an attorney general to the largest state in the nation, even though she graduated from one of the top law schools in the nation, even though she has been serving in public office for longer than you and I have been alive. She's black, so she's not smart. But
Yeah.
Trump, a guy who paid his way through school, a guy whose daddy gave him money, a guy who's never read a book and has never written any of his own books, somehow he's intelligent because of his whiteness. So whenever you hear that, just know that's automatic, like white supremacy. Like, because there's nobody that reaches that level of any political party without having some level of intelligence, right?
Yeah.
And this is also, by the way, why I don't even believe in IQ, because I believe, like, number one, there's no set test that can measure intelligence because there's various types of intelligence. And secondly, the people that created the IQ test were explicit anti-black racists. And now it seems like the only people that seem to purport IQ are tacit racists, and they don't seem to. Let's just do this. Let's have black people come together and we'll make a test for white people and see if y'all pass it. And yet, if y'all have high IQ, how about that? Let's do that. But that's my thing. What do you think? Why do you think they call this woman low IQ or non-intelligent?
I mean, there is that's what I said. Like, there's no reason for people to call her non IQ, like low IQ or whatever, because you know when Biden was talking, he was talking slow, and everyone was making fun of him, and I could have understood that a little bit. But when Kamala is talking, she's making good points. She's a good public speaker and everything, and her policies, for the most part, except for Palestine, seem logical, and it feels like she's working for the people. She's trying to bring the taxes down for the working class and everything. So it's for me, this person who thinks like this, like who thinks Kamala has a low IQ himself or herself, because why would you fight against, yourself? I don't understand why middle class people would think like that when all Trump is trying to do is like make rich people richer, give
Yeah.
them like lower taxes and everything. So at the end, I agree with you, but that's just wasn't the first thing I thought about.
Let me. The person Trickster just said he has a black friend. Acty, what's our automatic response when they're accused of being racist in their first? I have a black friend. What is it? What do we say? What do we say?
Just because you know someone black, it doesn't mean you're not racist.
Facts, facts. That's all we'll say to that.
And
Jesus.
stop using your black friends as proof that you're not racist. That makes you racist.
Exactly. And they're it's so bad. Like white people need to update their software. Like they're still using like defenses from like 1994. I have a black friend. Shut the fuck up. Like it's so stupid. So
Yeah.
stupid. This is why like the UK right now is like at a third world level because it's full of like low IQ white people who think that saying they have a black friend somehow shields them from uh, being called racist. Anyway, but back to the issue of Kamala and like what this means for feminism, right? Like once again, I think you were talking earlier about your friends would be more supportive of Kamala and stuff like that, except maybe for the facts that she supports the evil Zionist regime, right?
Mhm.
But it in terms of like what this means for feminism and what this means for representation of women and proving that women can, lead. Because a lot of people have said, I don't want a woman in charge because a woman wouldn't know what to do in a time of war. A woman couldn't protect us from our enemies. A woman can't show strength the way a man can, right? Like, does does having Kamala in that position, if it does happen, you know, uh, add more evidence to that? Has that already been, disproven because there have been other global leaders who are women, or should it even be something that women aspire to be? Like, they used to say, hey, maybe a woman can be in charge, so we can't go to war, so we don't have to fight. You get what I'm saying? Like, what
Mhm.
what should it be that this woman represents in power, and how should or does this even help at all, or does it actually hurt feminism? You get what I'm saying?
I don't think it would hurt feminism. But the thing is, like, if you have those, still sexist ideas in your head that, oh, woman can't do certain things. What if she gets her period and she starts crying and all sorts of things? Like, we all go through life having all those things. We give birth, we have periods and everything, and at the end, we still
Wait,
survive and we
wait,
come up.
wait, can I jump on that real quick? The
Yeah.
period thing, because that's so annoying when men say we can't have a female president because what if she has her period? Motherfucker, most of the women in politics are postmenopausal. Like Kamala can't have no babies. Margaret Thatcher couldn't have no babies. Like, what's her name? The leader of Germany. Oh, I forgot her name. Do you remember the name of the woman who led Germany?
No, but I know who
You
you
know
mean.
who I'm talking about, right? Like all of these are old women. Let's keep it about. And no offense, I don't mean this to be offensive, but why would they say that? Like, what that shows how a lot of these dudes don't understand women. You get
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
that's dumb. Like, because yeah, we have our stuff, but that's something personal and that's something like other, you know. Every woman around the earth has periods and they still show up to work. They invented pills for that. Surprise. You know, we can take painkillers and stuff. So, yeah, you got to chill about like all those sort of accusations. And I think yeah, if a woman wants to be as assertive as how men are usually perceived in terms of like war and politics and defending their country, I think they can very much manage that. But the thing is, like, it's not completely change. It's not going to completely change everyone's perspective on
Right.
it.
But I was thinking like maybe it could hurt feminism, right? Because you know, one of the issues about having Obama in office is that he is the black face to America's continued white supremacist global empire, right? He continued bombing Yemen, he continued the war in Afghanistan, continued war in Iraq and stuff like that. So let's say we have a woman in charge, right? It's now the face of male patriarchy from America across the world. So Kamala is gonna have to press that button for the Yemeni bombing. She's gonna have to, deport mothers and children that are trying to flee from war-torn nations in Central America, because that's the law. You get what I'm saying? Like it's like having the black James Bond. I didn't want Idris Elba to be James Bond because I don't want Idris Elba to be the face of British imperialism. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, true, but I think that comes with like advantages and disadvantages. Like in the case of Obama, I think he did improve the black image a lot, as well as like damaging it in some parts, bombing Yemen and things like that. So yeah, like it does both, and I think it will be the same for Kamala. But I think for the most part, it will improve feminism or how women are perceived in politics. But yeah, if she does something fucked up, then, she's gonna also damage that image. But I think that's the thing. I think more positives goes to like for Obama, it goes to okay, positives for black people, and for Kamala it will be positives for a woman. But if you look at the negatives, it's negatives of politicians, you know.
Hmm.
I feel like we can attribute the negatives to in general politicians because it is a fucked up sort of system that we have around the world.
Right.
So not necessarily, oh, like she did it because she's a woman or he did it because he's black, but it's more like they did it because they were the presidents of United States of America.
Yeah, because being the president of America is totally different than being the president of New Zealand, being the president of Hungary, being the president of Italy or whatever, right? Being the president of Turkey, like there's graver consequences and much more power that you wield in that position. So I agree with you, Acti. It's like at that level, you're playing. That's just a part of the job, right? But
Yeah.
it's like, do we on one hand, women in America deserve the right to have access to the levels of power if they earn it, right? If a woman is good and the people trust her, she should have the right and access to become the president, senator, whatever, right? It's just that when we think about what that means to the little girls who are coming up next, we want our daughters to be able to aspire to be anything, but do we want our daughters to say, yeah, I want to support a genocide too? I want to be pretty in pink while we continue to, deport immigrant mothers, while we continue to, rage war across the planet. You get what I'm saying? Do you want your daughters looking up to that? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course not. No, you don't want that. But once again, like, I don't think that's necessarily something you attribute to like Kamala being a woman, you know? I feel like Kamala could have been a man and still like taken the same position.
Mm,
So I don't think it matters in that sense, but I think what will matter for Kamala is what she does for women in particular, and also a woman of color in particular, with the whole thing going on with like abortion and everything. I think she needs to focus on those things more, and that will inspire more like, future generations in terms of feminism, if that's what we're talking about. But
right.
when it comes to like the genocide in Palestine and everything, I think that's more attributed to like being a president, being a politician, and you have to, like, not you have to, but you hurt other people and other nations basically. You
Yeah.
don't have to, but there are like ties that comes with it.
I mean, I do see some benefits to having Kamala be in there because it does break one thing that I think is very important, which is the mental perception of black people. Like, for example, Trickster came in here and his first comment was that that's a stupid black woman because, in the mind of white people like Trickster, all black people are stupid. We just play basketball, we sing, we dance, we make art, but we don't have intelligence, right? And so Obama broke that. Oprah broke that. Kamala might break that, right? And so many other black people that I don't have the time to name break that every single day in the minds of white people. And that has a very large detrimental effect on the world. How the world views blackness leads to countless lives being changed or destroyed every single year, right? Just look at the bottom of the Mediterranean, where you have millions of black bodies just trying to get a better life, but because of where they come from and what they look like, they're not allowed that opportunity. Um, uh, I'm going to go to Trickster's comment here. He said, "May I ask you this? Who would you prefer as the first female president, Harris or Clinton?" For me, uh, both of them are equally bad. I didn't vote for Harris or Clinton. I voted for Cornel West. I did vote for Hillary. I did vote for Hillary because I recognized Trump was a fascist in 2016. And I voted in Florida, so I did my part. I voted in a swing state. For anybody out here, I do not vote third party all the time. If I was living in a swing state like Florida, I was going to do my part. And I was shocked as hell Florida fell to Trump. But if I'm living in a red state, I'm going to vote for whoever I want. You get what I'm saying? But for me, it would just be Harris just because she's black.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, really, because I think, yeah, sort of like they are both Democrats, right? So, yeah, if I have to choose, I would rather see a black woman or an Indian woman or a mixed race woman other than a white woman, basically.
Yeah, because we don't trust white women right now. Because low key, this election is the white woman election. Like whether Kamala gets in or not is whether white women really care about their bodies, their wombs, whether they really feel like, they want their daughters to be able to not die on a table from having miscarriages. Everybody's focused on, oh, some black men are voting for Trump. Oh, some Latinos are voting for Trump. But they really should be looking at white women. They should wonder what's in them Starbucks cups. They should wonder what the hell they're buying. Whatever, man. We should focus on white women because that's who this election comes down to. Because last time, more than 50% of white women voted for Trump last time in 2020, and even more in 2016, and they know he's a rapist. They know he's Mr. Grab him by the pussy, all that. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, that's really like a betrayal to feminism and to woman race. That's a betrayal.
yeah.
Whatever woman like is voting for Trump, you are betraying like your own kind, because even though you might not be like going through abortion or you might not have problems like that, you might have a husband already, kids and everything, like you have to think about like what if something like that happens to someone that you know, like, or
Mhm.
why would anyone has to suffer from an issue like that when they are already alive, and they could get help
Yeah.
basically, and you are basically like preferring um someone who's not born.
But let me ask you this. I know you're gonna say I'm not an American white woman, blah blah blah. But why do you think some white women, you know, want to support Trump? Like, why do you think some white women so easily align with the right when the right is somewhat always against women's interests, like intrinsically?
I think, like you kind of said it, it's like intrinsic sexism that they have inside. I would say, like that trad wife
Right,
type of.
because in Turkey you have women that vote for the right too, right?
Of course, and that's what I'm saying. Like, they live those like sort of conservative lives, and you know, of course, some of them like work. Most of them are housewives, and they're just like very sort of standard sexist family structure. I would assume, and at least that's how it is in Turkey. And yes, like some of them are working and stuff like that, but they're always by the men around them. They're always restricted in some ways.
Hmm.
So I think like that's the reason there's a lot of internalized like hate for themselves, internalized sexism. Of course, there's racism in it as well. So I would assume like that's why,
Hmm.
because it's really hard to like sort of unleash yourself from that chain, and maybe you can relate to it as a black person as well. Like for me, I'm trying to be aware of all of the sexist things that happen in the society, but I still catch myself doing those things or thinking those thoughts that are
Hmm.
sexist.
Right.
I'm like, sometimes I'm, in public transportation, and I sit like, like with my legs open and stuff like that. And I'm not talking about like wearing a skirt, but I'm just like, very chill. And then I, pull myself back and I'm like, oh, Acty, like, what are you doing? That's not
Hmm.
like appropriate. You're not acting like a good girl or whatever.
Hmm.
But then I
Right.
tell myself, what the fuck, Acty? Like, you're a human being. You can act whatever, like, however you want.
Hmm.
And I'm someone who's like, more leftist, more liberal in terms of that, and a feminist as well. So,
Yeah.
you know, once you're in that sort of environment, I would say it's really hard to come out of it.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. Like you worded it better than I ever could, because that's your lived experience. Like a lot of women have internalized sexism against other women and themselves. But I also think that a part of the reason like people didn't really like Hillary and some women don't like Kamala is I think personally some women just like some women more than others. And some women like rub women the wrong way. Like the way I think women don't like the sort of like girl boss support me because I'm a woman and I'm just here in my pantsuit and I'm representing us. Like I don't think a lot of women respond to that, you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
do think we're in this wave of feminism now where we like radical, confrontational feminist action. The feminist action I saw today that got me super excited. I tweeted to you about this. It was about the girl Ahu Nedoui, something like that, in
Mhm.
Iran. So this girl, she's at her university, and they tell her that she's wearing her hijab wrong because every woman in Iran has to cover her hair. So she takes everything off and walks outside in her bra and panties, folded her arms and said, "What, bitch? What, bitch? What?" It was, and I'm like, yes, that is action because that's real. Like, you get what I'm saying? That's really standing up for your rights as a woman. You get what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I think the whole, corporate play by the rules, be 10 times better than the next guy to get the same position. That sort of feminism is sort of like dead and it's not as authentic to me. You get what I'm saying? And I don't know, it doesn't resonate with me when I see the Kamala type of feminism. But maybe it might resonate with you like the same way I get inspired when I see a black man in a suit. I'm like, nigga, I want to be like you. You see a woman in a pantsuit, you like, girl, I want to be like you. You get what I'm saying? But I don't know. Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, Harris and Clinton, both of them come from a different generation. They are like the OG feminists, or at least like the generation after OG feminists,
Yeah.
who sort of like started this wave and everything. So, yeah, maybe like their definition is like, okay, we have to work 10 times harder than the man to come to the same place. And that is like how we empower women. But
Hmm.
now, like the new generation, I do agree with you on that, is seeing like, You just have to be unapologetically yourself
Mhm.
and unapologetically free as a woman and just live your life. And you
Mhm.
don't have to be like wearing corporate suits. You don't have to like, suck up to men just to get to the place that you have to be and everything like that. So there is that different understanding of empowerment when it comes to like feminism and empowering women. But I definitely think like Harris has more charisma and more of a bigger grasp than Clinton, because I listened to Harris's Call Her Daddy podcast. And yeah, like she was very dope there in how she was like sort of, talking to younger females,
Mhm.
and about like her issues, her relationship with her mother, her
Mhm.
romantic relationships and everything. I think she's more closer to the current like understanding of woman empowerment than Clinton.
Closer, but as close as the moon is to Earth. You know what I mean? And Clinton
Like
is
I
as close
said,
as Mars is to Earth. To
yeah, I
the
mean, she's still like, she's still the older generation. And like even in my lifetime, um sort of like, feminism shifted, at least in my head. I used to sort of like slut shame girls and everything, and I did it like without knowing that it was, anti feminist or it was sexist.
Mhm.
And then now it came to a point where like everything is like, you go girl, you take that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it made me think. I had this thought when you were explaining it, like be authentically yourself. And to some degree, Barack Obama was not the first black president because he sacrificed so much of his blackness to be accepted. He couldn't go out there and be like, yo, what up? It's me, Barack. You get what I'm saying? Like the most he did was like brush the dirt off his shoulders, like, hey, it's me, Barack. You get what I'm saying? Like, and in a lot of ways, Kamala is not going to be the first female president because explicitly she's sort of like marketing herself as gender neutral. I'm just the best person for the job. Don't focus on my gender, all that sort of stuff, right? And not putting her femininity or female identity first or very prominently. You get what I'm saying? Like like I think it even comes down to the way we still expect women empowered to present. Like we want women to wear the wide shoulder cut blazers and stuff like that, and we want them to like tone down the colors and don't show any neckline and that sort of stuff because it's still about presenting as masculine as possible to be accepted. Does that make sense?
I don't think she's trying to like present herself masculine, but there is a certain attire in politics which is like a suit and tie. And it could be like a dress suit or something like that, or pants or whatever. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that's the like goal, but once again, like, she is running for president, which is, you know, where she is representing the people, and the people she's representing, a lot of us are still like living in this sexist world. So, in the essence, in an ideal world, she wouldn't have to justify her feminineness or her masculineness. It wouldn't have mattered. And that would not be a topic of the debate, or that wouldn't be something, the other side should point out or whatever, like Trump does.
The
So,
point I'm
yeah,
trying to make is she
not
won't
the
get the point I'm trying to make. You get what I'm
yeah, but
You know what I'm saying? And we would like that. Let's keep it a buck. We would like that. But
that's not the like formal political attire, though.
but that's the thing. Formal political attire, just the same way the proper way to dress in the world is like 18th century Italian dandies, a suit and tie. The proper way to dress is like the white man. The proper way to dress for women is still the white man, right? Present with the shoulder cuts and the no, don't show any curves, don't show any of your femininity, that sort of stuff. So,
I think she's been like showing her curves and her like beauty. And
okay, I think.
I agree that's like, yeah, the suit is the white man's, costume and everything, but like she still has to somewhat obey to that sort of attire because that's
Yeah,
what's accepted in America. You know, maybe if she was running for the presidency of India, she would have to wear a sari.
I got you. I got. That's funny. You said Indian because she's Indian.
Yeah. She's
All right, but
black Indian. Like, I don't know why people have such a hard time. Like, they have to separate everything.
yeah. Let me jump into the comments. Yo11 says, "What are you studying in Budapest?" I'm studying sociology, and my wife is studying.
Psychology.
So we're both crazy. Um, YS8 says, "Do you think Harris will lose?" No, I think she's going to win. This is my electoral map. I kind of changed it. I changed it up a bit. I gave New Mexico back to Kamala. I got Trump winning Michigan. I got Harris winning Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Trump wins Nevada. Right. So, and in that final vote, it's 278 to 260. Very close, but still a solid Harris win. That's my prediction. But yeah,
I think she will win too, hopefully.
yeah. I think Georgia has been called because before we started this live stream, they were talking about they were gonna release the results. I'm gonna check the New York Times real quick, see if Georgia's been called.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the only states that have been called so far. Hold on. Hold on. Right now, these are the only states that have been called. So Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia for Trump, right here, and then Harris won Vermont, which is not surprising. So right now, Trump is in the lead. Trump is in the lead, 23 to Harris's 3. Right. So those are the results right now. That's what it is. That's what it is. But we'll see. I really want to see what Georgia. Right now, we're only about 20% done counting in Georgia, 79% Florida, South Carolina 10. So yeah, it's going to be a long night. We probably won't find out until like
Well,
afternoon tomorrow.
since you asked me a question about women, I'll ask you about the Black Americans then.
Talk to me.
So, what do you think is the reason why, like, some Black Americans vote for Trump instead of Kamala? Because, yeah, Kamala is also Black. Like, why aren't they voting for her like they did for Obama?
I think that's a lot of reasons, but I'll make it very short. Uh, I think it just really comes down to um, the fracturing of our communities and the interests. Because I'll keep it real, for a lot of the issues that we have as Black Americans, we're still at the lowest part of our socio-economic system. But a lot of niggas are getting rich, and those Republican tax cuts are really good. Like, the richer you get, the more the less you pay in taxes. So a lot of niggas, they're talking about, yeah, Trump's gonna bring back jobs to the hood, all that sort of stuff. Really, there's just some rich niggas that want taxes. That's my opinion. It all
So,
comes down to that.
about taxes, but I felt like, some of those, or maybe even most of those Black businesses want to uplift the Black community. And that's why, like, it has been somewhat of a trend, like support Black businesses, support small Black businesses, and all sorts of things, right?
Hmm.
Why would they still go for Trump, even though, like, because, yeah, I get the tax cut and everything, but you know, it's not like they can't afford the other tax.
Well, the thing is, it's like, you know, uh, Black people are people too, right? In fact, there is no such thing as a Black person. There are only people racialized as Black, people people racialized as white, et cetera, et cetera. So we're susceptible to propaganda too. And so there's a lot of Black people that have fallen for the propaganda that Trump will uplift the Black community. Trump will provide economic opportunity. Trump will do this and that and stuff like that. So it's simple. A lot of people also are very religious. Like, Black people are some of the most religious Americans. And the religious right in America, the religious people tend to go right in America because for whatever reason, the Republicans have been able to convince the Christian majority that are very hardcore Christian that they represent their values, which I guess Christianity is just all about hating gay people, giving abortions, and killing criminals, because that's what Jesus taught us, right? So that's what some Black people buy into that. They say, I have to vote for what the Bible would tell me to do, which is no guaranteed universal health care. because Jesus didn't want to heal the sick, right? That's what they believe in. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Okay. I mean, yeah, of course I understand it. And yeah, I do believe that, all people could be affected by propaganda. But I don't know, like, it's still hard. And I know, like, most black people, I would say, would vote for Kamala.
More black men will vote for Kamala than any other group of men.
I'm talking about people in general, not
More
specific.
black people will vote for Kamala than any other
Yeah.
group of people in America. People racialized as black in America are the most left consistently, right?
Yeah.
We've been the ones consistently asking for progress and pushing for progress in America, while other groups of people would rather regress or maintain the status quo.
Yeah. But do you think, like, you also pointed out, like, in the beginning of, Kamala's, the whole thing that's happening, her election and stuff, there isn't that much of a rally like it happened with Obama, right? And
No, it
looked,
doesn't feel like
we
it.
looked at, like, sort of like women empowering her, but what about like the black community? Why isn't the black community supporting or rallying around Kamala as much as they did for Obama?
Once again, it's a lot of fracturing, but it's not as much as people say. But like I said, there's a sort of malaise and there's a lack of enthusiasm, right? Because Obama was hella charismatic, and it was also at a time much different than now. I know it seems very recently, 2008 is not that long ago in history, right? But it was a much different America back then. We were coming out of 8 years of Bush. We were coming out of 8 years of very right wing America. When Obama came in office, gay marriage was not legal. It didn't even seem like it would be possible to be legal. The idea of recreational marijuana being out was not even a thing. They were still locking up black people for mandatory minimum sentences, right? Meaning that if you commit this crime, you have to go to jail for 20 years, right? There was still hella disparities. We were poorer then than we are now, right? And it just seemed improbable that God would pick one from us. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
at the same time, like, since then if we're looking at like everything that happened, I understand the frustration with the Bush administration, but also like since Obama was like down from the office, and everything that happened there, like George Floyd happened, BLM happened, and a lot of different things happened. School shootings are happening in mostly like you know um black schools or black areas or Latino areas and everything like that. So it's not like, you know, it's been like super peaceful that, that there wouldn't be any reason to support a black president.
well, this is the other thing too. When Obama was running, the people that were around when black people couldn't vote, like my grandmother and my grandfather, they got to see that, and then they died. And the same thing for a lot of other people in my generation too. Your grandma and your granddaddy, sometimes even your great granddaddy or great grandmama, were alive when they couldn't vote, and they were lucky enough to live long enough to vote for the first black president. So a
Hmm.
lot of those people are around, and are the older people in America are the ones that are most likely to go and vote. They're the ones that are most excited about voting. The people that will generally vote in this election are over the age of 40. Most people in my age range did not vote. You get what I'm saying? So that's why there was a lot more excitement around Obama, because those black people literally had three pictures on the wall. They had Black Jesus, Martin Luther King, and Obama on their walls. I'm sorry, my grandmama had that on her wall before she died.
That's cute.
Jesus, no, I'm sorry. I got to keep it real. She had Jesus, Martin Luther King, JFK, JFK, and Obama. I don't know why JFK.
I would love to see that wall.
That wall was crazy. That was crazy. She also has some other pictures of like Nelson Mandela and stuff like that. But
But
the three, the Trinity, Holy
but
Trinity.
but I have to say, like, at the same time, with all of those like things that happened after Obama's, year, Black Lives movement and George Floyd and everything that happened, I would assume that your generation was in the forefront of that movement,
Hmm.
for example,
But
right?
this is another thing too. So our grandmothers and grandfathers died during Obama's term, right? Whether first term or second term. And then also, what was Obama doing while he was in office? I am not the president of Black America. I'm the president of all America. He was doing this race neutral thing into the White House, into even his second term when he didn't have to do that anymore. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And because he decided to play it raceless the entire time, played with this part of his hand rather than this part, he made the world, he didn't do anything that really felt like it was meant for us. Because in America, all politicians are afraid of saying that they have a targeted program, policy, or agenda for Black people. Because the number one thing that always angers or riles people up in America is the idea that you will do anything specific for the Negroes. So this is why every politician will always come out and say, I have a plan for the Latino community, a plan for the gay community, a plan for women, a plan for Hispanics, Asians, whatever. But they cannot say that they have anything specifically for Black people because that automatically, and in theory, even now, will have a negative backlash. And that's the last thing they want. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. But I think it's also like in my head, it's a bit of a dilemma because I understand the reality of the world right now that people like see races and there are like a lot of racism and everything like that. But at the same time, you and I know at least that race is a social construct. So Obama saying, I'm not the president of Black people, I'm the president of America.
Hey,
I'm not defending him. I'm not defending him. I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate here. So go on with me. But I don't want anyone to understand me wrong. But he is at the end of the day the president of all Americans. That is true. Like he's not the president of only Black Americans, and of course, I would support him, like doing good things for the Black community and everything. But I don't think other than reparations, I don't think you don't need to really say that or claim that because if you just say, I'm going to help the working people, I'm going to help, the people who are impoverished in the society, those are the minorities already. So if you just say that, then you can like build off of that with your plans and everything. You don't need to specifically say, oh, I'm just going to help like Black people because that is sort of dividing the society.
Yes, yes, I understand that, and in fact, that's absolutely true, and that's an argument Obama himself has made. He said, "Listen, I can't say I'm going to do something specifically for Black people, but if I do a program that's meant for first-time home buyers or people making less than $30,000 a year, I mean, you know who it's going to help." They have this saying, "A rising tide lifts all boats." This was Obama's famous saying. So I'm sure this is Turkish saying time. That's why you're smiling.
Was Obama Turkish?
Exactly. Rising waters make all the boats rise, or whatever. Anyway, that's absolutely true. Like Obamacare, right? When he passed healthcare for everybody, Black people did not have healthcare by and large. A lot of people didn't. And when Obamacare came, now more Black people are insured, but also white people are insured. And it feels like, white people got so many things in this country for free for themselves, specifically for them for a long time. The idea that we can't get something for ourselves uh, kind of, I feel like, fuels the grievance that Black people have in America. Does that make sense? And also, there are some issues that, while we think it is good for everybody to rise, there are specific issues for us that should be addressed. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
of
like,
course.
for example, specifically like reparations and that sort of stuff, or
Yeah.
acknowledgement of certain atrocities and apologies and you know that sort of stuff. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. No, I definitely understand that there are certain things that should be done for the Black community, like you said. That's why I said like except from reparations, for example, because I think doing reparations would add to that, like would lessen the rage, basically, rightful, rage that Black Americans might have, but also like things like adding rights information and education about the history of slavery and everything like that. So
Yeah,
like acknowledgement of things.
yeah, yeah. I was
But yeah,
I, when I think about Kamala's policy, right? Kamala has this policy that a first-time home buyer, uh, of a certain age, will have like $20,000, given to them, like no strings attached. So, like hypothetically, in Kamala's America, you know, I'm a first time home buyer. You're a first time home buyer. We could get, some money to buy our first home in Kamala's America, right? Now, is that something aimed specifically for black people or young women immigrants to America? No, but it does directly help us, right?
yeah,
Um, but the idea shouldn't be just to throw money at everybody because there's a racial wealth gap in America, right? So if we continue to have these policies that say we're trying to help everybody, we're not closing this historical gap that existed because of things that happened in the past between black people and white people. Does that make sense?
yeah. Yeah, I understand that, but I think before coming to that, America sort of needs to change its policy and slogans,
Hmm.
especially like, this is America, like if you work hard, you will get rich and all sorts of things like that. Yeah. And America has to see like it's not like that.
Hmm.
You can work hard as much as you want and you might end up in prison or you might end up being killed. You could be a famous rapper who has a lot of money and still get killed because of racism,
Hmm.
like that, or I don't know, put in jail because of a girl or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't work like that, and that's like the first step. But anyway, I feel like we're getting off topic.
No, we're not. I feel like we're actually delving into some deep issues because I've thought about some things here that I've never thought about before, especially when you were talking about, Kamala and her presentation as a woman and that sort of stuff. And I
Yeah.
just feel like, what we were touching on right there is really like what I think the issue is with modern feminism or like the divide. And I'm not saying the problem with feminism, like in the Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan type of way. That's not what I'm saying. Like, I feel like, you know, um, for women to be free and for us to see women liberated, it's going to take a lot more than just the first female president. Like, I feel like women, by and large, are past that, and that's why there's not the energy. Like, it might not have been America, but women have seen other female presidents. We've had female bosses, we've seen female doctors, we've seen female professors, we've seen females go to the moon and all that sort of stuff. Being the first woman to do something is not as impressive as it used to be, right?
Yeah, but also like it shouldn't only be like us women being past that or us women approving that or not approving that. It should also be men as well. Like it should be a collective thing because, think about racism, right? Black Americans are like very much more aware of their rights as, human beings in America. They want equal rights and they fight for it and they speak up about it and everything, but that's not going to change until white people also do something about it as well, right? They
Hmm.
have to acknowledge racism, they have to apologize for it and everything like that. So it's the same for like feminism in that sense that, yeah, I might be like finding, okay, Kamala is going to be the first, female president of America. Yay, like that's good. But, we've been through this before.
Hmm.
So it's not a big deal for maybe a lot of women, but like I feel like a lot of men are still hating on that idea. And
Hmm.
that should also be the core of the change as well. Like it should be collective and not one side.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Like, there should be men changing their mind, by the interactions they have with women in their personal lives, but also seeing, women do things as well and acknowledging that as well. And that's where I'm at with like my feminism is like close to like what you're saying, like acknowledging, my status as a man, my privileges as a man, the ways as a man that I continue patriarchy in my everyday interactions, right? And also thinking about like what can I do to have a better future for my sisters, for my daughters, for my cousins and stuff like that, how I can contribute, right? But if if contributing to a better future is just having more women in pantsuits drop bombs on Yemen and not care about the middle class, like that's not helping. Like more, more girl bosses isn't the way. We need more ahus and less pantsuits. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's like that. The thing is, like, you can't like pick and choose your, powers, basically.
Hmm.
Because, yeah, if you think about it, women in history, right? A lot of good women who did a lot of good things for feminism, for women, for humanity, for science, everything. But then you have a lot of bad women who did like a lot of, bad stuff. I don't,
Hmm.
they were racist. They supported, white supremacy. They killed children, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, you know, you can like really pick and choose what whoever's in power, and it should come to a point where you just like judge people based off of their morality, their ethics, and what they stand for, and not
Hmm.
through their gender. And yeah.
Yeah, but it's also, while gender and race are social constructs, they're also a type of construct that we sort of craft our identities out of. They're ascribed to us, right? A lot of the times, like my blackness is ascribed to me, but there's also parts of my blackness that I prescribe to myself and
Yeah.
celebrate in myself. The same way your gender as well, right?
Hmm.
And right now we're at a time where some ascribed identities can change. Like I could change my gender, but I could not change my race right now as we understand it, right? There, when we say like, oh, we just want to judge people on their talents and their merits and stuff like that, that's true. But we also want people to be able to express a part of an identity that they have and not be punished for that.
Yeah.
The same way I'm sure you would agree with me, we should be able to elect a transgender president one day, right?
Hmm. Yes.
But we would also be cool if that president during inauguration said the category is presidential. You get what I'm saying?
That would be like the best thing ever in the world.
Exactly. You get what we want that to happen, but we don't want the transgender president to say, "Nope, I'm going to play it totally cis." The category is realness permanently for 4 years. Realness.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I get what you're saying, but like, I don't know. How can Kamala play men, or how can Kamala play white? Like,
No, but she is playing man and she is playing white. That's what she's doing right now.
because
But
politics, like you literally said, she will be hopefully the first woman president of America. Like, she's entering a world of men. How else is she supposed to, like, do this? The thing is, like, it's the system or the politic gender or environments is the one that should change before she can completely be herself.
But that's the point I'm going to about, once again, Our Lady Ahu, right? Telling Ahu to wait until Iran changes. That's not how change happens. We didn't tell Martin Luther King to wait until white people just got over whatever their issue is. The point is that you need people that want to and that are brave enough to push those boundaries, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get that. And I think Ahu is very, very brave. And I support her with all of my heart. And what she did was like super dope. But at the same time, like, she's not running for president. Like, if Kamala did, whatever she wanted and she believed in to run for president, no one would have voted for her.
But she's doing the same thing. Kamala's running for president to affect social change. Ahu did that, protest to affect social change to some degree. Now, the thing is, the way Kamala is going about affecting social change is by saying, I'm going to try to sneak in. I'm going to try to be as genderless and raceless as possible to just make white people and the general public accept me.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, and that's that's what I find to be, a bit. Problematic. That's what I find to be problematic about the whole thing.
But I'm saying it's not her that is problematic, it's the system. So we can't put all of the blame on her for acting that way because while Ahu is creating social change, she's not trying to collect votes.
Right.
She doesn't have certain obligations that she has to fulfill to in order to protest because that's
Hmm.
already her right.
Hmm.
And yeah, of course she's risking things, right? She's maybe risking going to jail or being harassed and everything. But in order to sort of achieve some things, Kamala has to sacrifice certain things
Hmm.
because we don't live in a utopia.
Hmm. I got you. No, I got you. Right. Like,
And maybe after like she gets elected, she will have
no,
more
no,
that character.
no, no, no. But that's for the same thing. They always say that the idea is, yeah, once we get in the door, yeah, Obama's gonna put on a do rag and light up a Newport and crack a bottle of Hennessy. Never did it. Didn't
No,
do it afterwards either.
I'm not saying she's gonna be like thug or
No,
Indian, very
but
Indian or whatever.
no,
I'm
she's
saying
definitely
that
cooking
she
curry in the
might.
White House. She's cooking some curry in the goddamn White House. I know she gonna do
I'm saying that she might like through her policies and through like the change she's bringing, she might do things for her people.
I disagree with that because the power of white supremacy is so strong that it influences people whether they have power or not. That's why we see, the poor white uneducated Trump voters voting for a man that couldn't care less about them. Trump wouldn't piss on them in a fire, but just because they want to support a system they think they belong to, right? You said earlier, like, politics in America is the white man's game and everybody's got to play in the white man's fashion and that sort of stuff. That's absolutely true. That's true. But the point is, we want to uh, uh, break those barriers and tear them down. And the point I'm trying to make is like, trying to run a campaign and expecting people to be inspired by your womanhood when you're trying to mask your womanhood. To me, that doesn't seem to um, doesn't make much sense, right?
Okay. I don't think she's masking her womanhood the way you are exaggerating it because obviously, yeah, maybe you can change your gender in our society, but you cannot hide it like that.
Hmm.
Like she's still, you read her book, right? She
Yeah.
still talks about like, girly things and romantic things and whatnot. And she still talks about like motherhood, like her mom, I mean,
Hmm.
and being a stepmom, her husband and everything. So even when she talks about those things, she's blamed by like the society and from um,
Hmm.
the other side that
Right.
she like,
I
um,
agree. I agree with you because even the way the criticisms of her are landing, uh, it's uh, it's coming across sexist, right? Like Trickster saying earlier, she's low IQ. That's partially racial, but it's also partially sexist as well
yeah,
because women were viewed as less intelligent than men, probably much longer than black people were viewed as less intelligent than anybody, right? And people often criticize her laugh, right? Ha ha ha, or smile. Like they said the same thing about Hillary. I think it is also like, you know, the way women present in public is different than men, right? Like Obama wasn't known for laughing, but Hillary and Kamala are, right? And I
yeah,
think that's just a different way. Like women, either through socialization or just whether it's a part of being a cisgendered woman, it's a part of your naturalness, right? Like laughing and smiling and just generally presenting as agreeable is much more natural for women than it is for men, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I think the way they've been criticizing her, I never liked that, and I never understood that. Like, I don't look at her, and I didn't look at Hillary either. I never understood why people don't like Hillary, but maybe that makes me a sociopath or a psychopath because people said I can't stand her. Even my mama said I can't stand her, and
Wow.
the reason I like Hillary is because she reminds me of my mom. To a lot of degrees, like she's a woman who's been cheated on, looked over, uh, a woman that has a lot of talent that people just generally just see as, oh yeah, you're just another woman. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I felt like my mom had the talent to do anything. I look up to my mom more than my dad for reasons that people usually look up to their dad. People look up to their dad and say, "You're smart. You can do anything. You're strong. You're all that stuff." I equate a lot of that to my mom more than my dad. And
Yeah.
even though I look at my dad and he has generally those same qualities too. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. And
But
I think go
um,
ahead.
no, no, I just wanted to just wrap that up by saying, like, yeah, people are being sexist to Hillary and Kamala unfairly. That's all. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's what I was also like just gonna add up to it because I think politics around the world, by the way, is seen morally as like a man's job still, even though
Hmm.
we might have women, in the world who are presidents or who are in politics. Yeah, it's still sort of seen as a man's job. So I think people are more prone to think that men in politics are more charismatic than women in politics,
Hmm.
and that has like an effect on it as well. And
Hmm.
obviously, like that sort of feedback affects how Harris or Clinton acts, possibly in
Hmm.
front of the public.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you want to wrap it up here?
Yes, let's
I'm
do it.
sorry. Sorry to keep you waiting. I don't know if you enjoyed this conversation.
I did. Did you?
Yeah, I really did. I really did. This was fun. Old school.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But where we're at right now, just to wrap it up, it's still early in the night. Trump is up 95, Kamala up 35. A few states have been called, other votes are counting in. I'm probably going to leave this tab open all night and just wake up in the middle of the night screaming and crying at whatever the results are. The chances of winning right now slightly leaning towards Trump. Electoral college estimates right now, they're having Trump at 274. These are estimates, estimates. Okay, so let's see. Let's see. It could be a long night. Could be a bright tomorrow. Could be a bright tomorrow or a horrible future. Let's see. Let's
Yeah.
see.
One last question.
Go
Wait.
ahead.
If Kamala wins, do you think Trump will do anything?
Yeah, he's gonna try to contest it. He's gonna say he didn't lose. He
No,
might
but
try to.
is he gonna like start a coup or something?
He might. Yes. Yes. He's a very dangerous man. Yes, he is. I think
Okay.
so.
Well, anyway, tomorrow morning is gonna be fun.
Tomorrow morning will be very fun and scary and weird.
Yeah.
But we've done it before, right? We did 4 years of Trump. I think we can make it again, right?
I hope not.
I hope not. I mean, we survived, right? It came and went, right? C'est la
Yeah.
vie.
Maybe there will be another if Trump gets elected for another 4 years, maybe like next time Kamala or another, woman or another black person tries to run as president, maybe everyone will select them.
No,
It
no,
will be
no.
like how it happened with Bush and then like Obama came after him.
The way like if this don't work because they put a white woman up and they put another black woman, Indian woman, they mixed like three categories in one to try to make sure everybody was on board in Kamala. After this, they're gonna be like white guys, white guys, white guys. This is gonna be a white boy century. Forget a white boy summer. It's white boy century. They gonna run nothing but white men. Yeah. It's really gonna come down to Michigan, man, because the way it's going is really coming down to Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, Pennsylvania, man. Ooh, that's too much. That's too much to bear. It's too much to bear. Yep, it's getting even. Look how it's even closer. It's getting closer to Trump. 277. My God,
I'm scream.
he
I don't
is.
want to look at the early things because they open the red states first.
That's true. That's true. That's
It's
true.
like bringing me down.
Yeah. Well, welcome to America, baby. This is how it is. This is our tradition. All
Like
right.
it's funny because the way it happened in Turkey last time is that we thought we were gonna win because until the very last moment we were like in more population,
Yeah.
and then
Hmm.
last minute they fucked us over.
Red wave, AKP wave.
Anyways, it's
Yeah.
giving me flashbacks. I need
All
to
right.
meditate or something.
The difference is I was with you holding your hand when
No,
you
you
were
were
going.
not.
Dude, I made videos with you. I was laying down with you. Do you want me to show you the video we made like 2 years ago?
I remember talking to your mom. I don't remember talking to you.
Dude, we have a whole video laying down where I made a video with you like, it's so sad. We lost the election.
No, but you weren't there election night.
Yes, I was in Turkey
But you weren't like in the same room as me.
during the Turkish elections.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna. What are you talking about,
Anyway,
right?
close this live and then we'll talk about it.
Okay, all right. Bye.
Bye.